Welcome to Comic Books and You. Today we're going to look at issues 3 of 6 of Unstoppable Doom Patrol, The Fast End and Nebulous. Kind of a good time to be releasing this with the release of Fast 10. I guess it was in the cards, or maybe it wasn't, but they just got to that point. This sounds a little bit fun for this. So let's go look at this particular issue, where we are going to see a lot of Green Lanterns, as well as you can see on both those covers. The two Doom Patrollers we really have in this issue are Robotman and Negative Man. All the others are currently fighting Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man. We get one good shot of that particular fight. So basically the duo is on a road trip, Robotman being the gruff driver and Negative Man being the kind their shotgun seat with their passenger / protege in the back. It's a bit of a character piece between the two of them, as well as a bit of an adventure. So it's an interesting idea, and it works fairly well with these characters and this story. The person on the back seat is Starro, which is a metahuman that was infected by one of Starro's spore. It activated his metagene as he got infected, and the metagene was there to protect him. So it merged him and the alien spore together into a new being that is neither Starro nor the original human. He's not part of the Starro collective, but he's not a real human anymore, so he is purely a metahuman. Seems to be a slobby human, late teen, young adult, overweight, doesn't take care of himself, but he's learning to love himself now that he's merged with Starro. Well, not Starro, but a Starro spore that seems to be helping him. It's a nice concept. It could be explored further. Hopefully, it is in other volumes or in other books. We have, of course, our Green Lanterns as well. We have Guy Gardner and Kyle Rayner in this particular volume. We do see a lot of the other Green Lanterns in some flashbacks and in some other images. Guy is our rough and tumble kind of guy who's action ready, while Kyle is the intellectual type who wants to try non-traditional conflict resolution. Typical cop duo, good cop, bad cop. Work great in these kinds of situations. And it also is comparable to our two Doom Patroller, where we have the rough and tough Robot Man and the smarter Negative Man. It goes together. As George Lucas would say, it rhymes. It rhymes. So as far as the story goes, the Doom Patrol is in Stockton, California, and they just rescued Starbro, and they're trying to evade the Green Lantern Corp. Since Robotman's a former race car driver, it kind of helps them in that regards. The next day, they're driving in Reno, Nevada. Negative Man is using his power to scramble the Green Lantern detection abilities, but as the two lanterns are flying around and using their eyes, they can still see the Doom Patrol's cars, so they're able to intercept it and start attacking it. Larry uses the negative spirit to slow down the Green Lantern. Basically, he launches it at them, starts spiraling around them. They're protected by their ring energy field. Since the negative spirit has a limited time frame, as soon as it snaps back into Larry, the Green Lanterns can easily follow it to find where they're going. Robotman drives straight into a wall and activates the car's ghost mode, so they're able to go through the building in this actually very nice scene. This is probably the one of the best pictures and the best panel in this particular book, honestly. Robotman thinks they might be able to evade the pursuer by going through Smallville out of respect for Superman. He thinks the Green Lanterns would not go there. He is wrong, even though they don't quite get into Smallville, I guess, so there's still something. Guy blocks off the road by breaking off the Superboy sign and just smashing it in front of the Doom Patrol's car, while Kyle stays in the back and just puts up a bunch of construction signs and construction pylons to block them from going anywhere. Once again, a bit of nice little comedy here on top of the action. The two teams get into an argument over Starbro. The Doom Patrol just want to take him to the shelter to do what they do at the shelter, train him, get him into a better shape, get him to understand and control his powers. While Cal is saying that they should take Starbro to Oa so the Guardians could do an assessment on him and see if he's dangerous or not. So they have two differing point of view. And, well, things are about to come to blow because Guy and Robotman are very sensible human beings. Luckily, Starbro is able to create a fake Green Lantern signal using his powers and forces the two remaining Green Lanterns to jet back to Oa. The Doom Patrol then continue on their trip, but Robotman is a bit tired of driving, so he gives the keys to Negative Man to finish the course of their action. The story's almost done, but we get 2 pages where Mr. Droo, quite sure who that was, I had to look it up. I actually didn't want to look up most of that stuff, but I really didn't. I had no idea who that was. Receives broken robot Ed from that we saw in the first issue, and he said that it's time to go to war. I have no idea what's really going on here, and I have no idea how this really connects with all our other stuff going on. Mr. Droo is one of Brain's acolytes, so it makes sense on that point, but I'm not sure what that has to do with the Doom Patrol, honestly. For the covers, I've got the one on the left right now in my inventory. I just got it from my local comic book store, while the one on the right I ordered and it's in my old box that's coming in shipped from Capcan Comics this week. Both of them feature the Green Lanterns prominently and our characters. The one on the left is more to the point as to what's going on in this story, and I think I do like it more than the one on the right with the full-on action scene, because the one on the right doesn't happen in the comic. Weird to say here, but that's how it is. As far as paratext ads and anything of the sort, this is a standard floppy, nothing out of the ordinary, same number of ads I would normally see. There's been a bit of a rotation here. We don't have any of the CW shows showing in there anymore. Most of them are canceled or are about to be canceled anyways. And the quality of the paper is just the average one. So this is a fairly straightforward standard DC floppy for the year 2022 to 2023. There is a eulogy for Rachel Pollack, who was a writer on Doom Patrol from 93 to 95. I'm not going to go into this too much because this is a huge rabbit hole we could get in, and I haven't read anything from Rachel Pollack. So I'm going to reserve judgment. I might be able to read some of it. I'm just telling you here. And it is a nice thing that DC still does those kind of pages whenever one of their talent dies. Even someone who wasn't part of the company for all that long, from my understanding, Pollack wasn't at DC for more than a few years, but it's a nice thing and a respectable thing to do. We also have a big ad for the HRO app, where you can get a copy of your DC trading cards in an app. I'm confused here. People collecting non-tradable collectible card game cards. Okay, I know my wife still gets a few wrestling cards every once in a while. They're quite expensive. If you collect the physical card, why would you want a digital copy of it? I mean, the value and the quality of the card itself is in its physical form. I am very confused by that particular ad. Rest of the ads are mostly for things that came out this month, the AAPI comics, which I do find a little bit weird since this comic is coming out at the end of the month. Or they have a 2-page ad for the DC Pride stuff because that's coming next month. Hopefully, we're not affected by it too much. Artistic elements in this case. The fight scene against Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man is really cool looking. Maybe I wouldn't have wanted a full comic of this. I'm not sure. It actually could have been really cool. It would have been more of the same, I guess, in a way. Beast Girl is really cool in that corner there with Velvet the Worm. You've got Elasty Woman, you've got the Chief, you've got Degenerate. The other characters we had on the cover of the issue 1, I guess, finding the weird creatures created by Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man. Always a treat to the eye. Also have a nice fight scene with Starro and the Green Lanterns. It's not an extended thing, but we have the action here, and it does show that the Green Lanterns take Starro fairly seriously. Not a huge fan of Starbro's look. Lazy slob. Okay, it works, and I know it exists in real life, but I'm not reading comics to see losers like me. It's just an annoying character archetype that is a bit overused, and new characters being created. Hopefully, if we see him again, or when we see him again, Flex Mantello will have put him through the ringer. He'll be in a better shape and ready for action rather than failing at eating a hamburger. We get a lot of talking while driving in a car. Works for story elements, but it's a bit lazy in terms of the art and the art style. It's not terrible either because you've got the backgrounds that are changing. You've got a lot of different angles being used. So it's not terrible, but once again, it's a road trip. If we were doing a movie or a show about this, well, it would be static cameras as well. So kind of understandable. The car looked great. The backgrounds look great. It's actually a huge improvement compared to issue 1. I'm liking where this is going. When we compare this to what I've just reviewed here with One Bad Day Riddler, the panel work is exceptional, but it doesn't mean that it's actually good. It's just that One Bad Day Riddler was just so terribly bad that something that's functional, like this one here, is being gratified in a way. The characters, especially the extra, are extremely cartoonish in look, which works fine in my book. I've got no problem with it, especially in knowing that I'm coming from a French bande dessinée background. Could get some people irked. Some people might not like it. I didn't like it at first, actually. And now I understand the style the artist is going for here. I think this artist should work less on serious title and do their own thing, or their own thing within the world of publishers. So this would be an artist that would work for Doom Patrol if we take the Doom Patrol into a new, less serious angle. I mean, if we do have all the quirky and funny characters and all the quirky and funny interactions, that will work just fine. We have a good chunk of character development and character work between Negative Man and Robotman in this, giving us background on the characters. How Robotman was a race car driver, how Negative Man was merged with another being in the past. So that's nice. We do get an understanding and an idea of where they're coming from. We get a flashback of the interaction with Guy Gardner and the Doom Patrol in the past. But it makes it kind of lame that E and Kyle are chasing them because they're really not adversarial to them. Especially with that flashback where the Doom Patrol basically saved the Justice League when Guy Gardner was there. It feels weird that he is aggressive towards them. Now, he shouldn't have any negativity towards them. We get a big part where Negative Man chastises Robotman for not identifying Starbro as what he wants to be called, keeps calling him by his human name. There's a mix of good and bad here. The good, it's a nice moral to tell people that they need to be accepting of other, respecting their desire, respecting what they want to do. The problem comes with the environment we are currently in. We are now in a world where this stuff is being abused and being forced onto people. You have to accept what I decide I am. That's where it gets a little bit more complicated. As a superhero, you don't choose your own name. That's not part of what being a superhero is. The public usually is the one granting you your superhero name. It could be the villain, it could be other heroes that give you the name or give you the title you are going to be using going forward. Superman is not Superman until Lois Lane decides he is Superman, basically. That's why the whole mantle thing doesn't work most of the time, because at that point it's someone takes over a title rather than having it granted to them by the general public. There's the point where Negative Man, Rebus form, I will call it, is saying to Robotman that, well, it was microaggressions, basically, when he was being misnaming him. This doesn't sound very cool and doesn't sound like either of those characters, from what I understand. It would have been a case where if Negative Man had just say, for the time being, just call me Rebus, and it would have been just fine. I also have no idea how long he kept that bottled up. I'd have to figure it out and read probably through quite a few comics to figure out when that particular arc was. And I have a feeling that this was bottled up for quite a few years, which still makes no sense as far as a story element goes. It's not terrible. It's not great. I would rather this not be in the comic. At least not the part with the microaggressions and things. The part about, yeah, he wants to be called Starbro, give him his space, that is okay. It's when they go in after that and keep digging into this that it gets to be more problematic. I understand the Doom Patrol's distrust of authority figure, but when you're dealing with a thing like Starro, you should be not only more careful, but also far more scared of what the end result could be rather than what the end result is currently at. Starro is not a thing to be trifled with. The Guardians of Oa are generally fair and balanced, not like Fox News, real fair and balanced. At least that's what I know them as. Maybe the current DC is completely messed up. Well, they did just seal all the humans on Earth and quarantined it. I don't know. But in the end, giving it time for the Guardians of Oa to evaluate Starbro would have been a good idea. Because if someone from the Doom Patrol or another metahuman gets infected by the spore afterwards, things will degenerate, Star will be back, and bad things will happen. It is nice that the conflict resolution doesn't end in violence. It's a witty trick by Starbro that gets the Green Lanterns to leave. The Doom Patrol itself does not initiate or pushes violence throughout this story. This is a nice thing for younger readers to go through. I do have some issues, not directly with the pacing, but a little bit more about when is this in the timeline. This is before the current run of Green Lantern that started this month, where the Earth was quarantined by the Green Lantern Corps. But this is also after Brian was killed by Mala and General Immortus. So it's after Peacemaker becomes a full-time government agent. Is it before he meets with the Titans? At this point, I have no idea how the timeline is. It'll sound weird, but I really like the Battletech novels, where at the start of every chapter you have, where is this going on? In what nation is this? What's the date? We shouldn't need that in comics. You don't need that in manga, as an example. But with a huge interconnected world like we have here in DC, it might end up being necessary. It might actually help readers. As far as the book itself, it's nicely paced overall. There's continuously something going on that keeps your attention going because of the interaction between the Doom Patrol members, the interaction between the Green Lantern agents, and the small fights between them, or at least the conflicts between them. There's a nice breaks in the action, which lets the story breathe, lets the story move forward. So this is a good pace overall for a book. I will ignore anything about trans allegory, super woke, identitary stuff on there. I don't want to deal with that right now. This was one of the books where we had to discuss a lot more story elements than others we had before, which is always good to see. This does show that this book has some interesting things to talk about. Where I'm starting to have issues, though, is that we're at 3 issues in, a 6 issues run, and we have multiple dangling threads that I have no idea if they're going to be resolved or how they're going to be resolved in the long run. And this is kind of scaring me as to how the last 3 books are going to be paced. Will it end too quickly, like a good old Rob Liefeld kind of book? Or will it end on a cliffhanger? Will it end like a wet fart? I have no idea here. I'm learning to love these characters, and I'm actually sad this might end after 3 more issues, even though it might have been one of those trial run for Culver and Burnham, the author and artist for this. I have no idea how well this is selling overall. Nobody's sharing any numbers right now of anything. And what I know personally, local comic store as one of the basic cover and one of the cardboard cover rotting in a long box. Now, it's not a huge endorsement. Capcan as all the issues of the current run stocked at the moment. I think the other store I go to, which is the Comic Book Bin, another Canadian bookstore, has them in stock as well. So however many they're selling is not selling out. Who knows where this is going to go? I'm going to wish you guys a very nice rest of your day. I thank you for listening to me. Keep on reading comic, keep on enjoying them. I'll keep reviewing them and analyzing them. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.